Welcome to Law Subscribed. This is your dedicated news source for all things subscriptions in the law. My name is Matthew Kurbis. I'm the subscription attorney, and I believe subscriptions can help bridge the access to justice gap and incentivize attorneys to modernize and scale their practice like never before. On this show, I interview lawyers ditching the billable hour and experts who can help attorneys move beyond billing time. Thanks to my sponsors, 650 and Gavel. Links to both in the show notes. More on them later, and use the code LAWSUBSCRIBED when signing up. You get 10% off, and it supports the show. The best way to support the show is to share it with someone you know. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only, and nothing said is legal, ethical, or financial advice. Without further delay, here's the episode. Welcome to the Law Subscribed podcast. I'm here on site at ABA Tech Show 2024. I have the co-founders of Fidu with me, Blaine and Kim. Kim, first guest on the Law Subscribed podcast. Welcome back. And Blaine, welcome to the show for the first time.
Thanks for having me.
So my audience knows you, Kim, if they've been longtime listeners. But Blaine, go ahead, give yourself a little introduction.
Sure. So I'm Blaine, co-founder and CTO of Fidu here. I lead the product team. Build the product.
Lawyer or just legal? I hate the term non-lawyer. Lawyer or non-lawyer, though?
Legal professional.
Legal professional.
Got into the industry from the product side, building some tech in access to justice, and kind of fell in love with the opportunity and the impact that tech can have in the industries.
And Kim, obviously, one of the longest practicing users of the subscription model for legal services. Just in case they haven't gone back and listened from the beginning. Although I do hear that a lot of people do that.
Mm-hmm.
They discover the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Kim Bennett, co-founder, Fidu, CEO, and also a practicing attorney. I ran a law firm that runs subscription model for, I should say now, close to 15 years, I guess, at this point. And, learned a lot along the way. And one of the biggest friction points for me was the connecting the tech and making the delivery as seamless as possible. And so now I'm really proud to be in collaboration with Blaine for us to be building this platform to really enable legal teams to the platform I wish I had to sell, deliver, and scale subscription legal services. So.
Yeah. It's one of these things where as I start to get more inbound from attorneys who see my CLE or listen to the pod and they're like, gosh, I want to be able to do this too. But it is so hard to know exactly how to have them do it. Although I do tell them, of course, about Fidu as one of these places where you could go to the software solution and it's the best place to go for a turnkey solution if that's what you're looking for, if that's what you need. But I got to imagine when you were coaching attorneys in the beginning that this was the thing that was missing, right? Is that essentially why you guys came together to make Fidu?
For sure, it was missing. I will say Blaine pitched me after CleoCon virtual, sent me an email and it's like, this isn't a sales pitch. And I was like, okay. And was like, hey, what would you think about us working together to put this out? And yeah, for sure. I was actually just having lunch. So, hey, whoever's at Tech Show or, now you're watching the post or listening. But we were just talking about what it was like prior to and trying to connect all of the tools. And I would teach it and the theory and the mindset shifts that can happen in coaching and training. But if you're not as technologically inclined or or time is a barrier or just thinking through your tech stack in a way that maybe you hadn't before, there was no other solution until now we came on the scene to really help scale this and be this turnkey, be the complete client experience platform. So I'm really proud that we have this, and it's based off of all that learning, right? Taking the training and the coaching and what worked and didn't in my firm. A lot of stuff didn't work, and that over the years now I would love to speed track that for everyone else so they could see the value of the model. So yeah.
And then Blaine, for you, whenever you're starting a company, you're either there's a pain point that you're trying to solve, there's a pain point you've identified, you have to test to see if there's product market fit. So what was the entry point for you in wanting to come in and tackle this problem?
When I started kind of working in what a company would look like and what the angle to take, I knew I wanted to build something in legal. I saw a couple opportunities with document automation and a couple different angles of this. So I started playing around with different ideas that potentially work and really was just experimenting, trying to find that element. And there was kind of a couple common threads there. There's always heavy emphasis on putting power in the client's hand, streamlining processes through that. And along the way, there was this kind of thread that I kept wanting to pull and ended up being the business model side. And so when I saw Kim talking at that CleoCon that year and a side discussion afterwards, this is that business model side is really what's missing from all of these random thoughts that I had at that point in time.
And what's missing from all these other solutions.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah. And this can really be, high impact by combining the tech and the business model into a platform here. So kind of where it came from for me to reach out to Kim and say, hey, we should work.
So Kim, as if you weren't busy enough. I mean, like, why did you say yes to that?
I test a lot of tech. I think in the space, I've been, blessed to maybe be behind the scenes of plenty of tech platforms, journeys, and share my thoughts about it. And I've been a high tech user. So from the time I went out in solo space, I had tech. I was a early Clio adopter as one of the pieces. And I just knew technology was a key. And when he presented it, think in the back of my head, I thought, one day, imagine if I built tech. But I don't know, I'm not a developer, right? So coaching made sense. Coaching and training and helping people shift and do and show the possibilities. But then this opportunity came and I thought, why not? I've always been a what if I kind of person. So the worst case scenario, I'm in the same position I am today, which is at that time, which was okay. Didn't have the tech platform, but maybe it would work. And thought it was interesting. And I knew that the gap existed because I'm doing it. And so, yeah, I thought it was why not? What's the worst that can happen? Is probably the way I went into it. And his energy was it was the right type of energy, how it was presented, how he sent it in the email. And then before publicly, we talked about joining. We actually had worked together, built out a feature people have never seen to this day that at some point, given the state of this world, it was probably a few years ahead of where, and so it is primed to come out at this point, but it allowed for us to see that we could work well together. And so a lot of, I think, things came together and then, the rest is history.
Yeah, because as much as you're looking for product market fit for a company, you're also looking for co-founder fit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's something that you guys had synergy and chemistry.
But we were purposeful about it. We literally were and I think it's a lesson to be learned even when you're doing the subscription part, right? When you're thinking about how to change, you're not going to necessarily know all the details, but there are tests that you could do ahead of time and test and iterate. And we just had a testing period. We were let's just see if it would work together. We built out the feature. Like I said, it didn't work, but it was this idea to say that didn't have to be the perfect end, but then you needed to start. And that's, I think, to me, it really, we met for the first time because we started during COVID. We met for the first time was it after our CleoCon win?
Yeah. A year and a half.
Yeah. We met in Canada for the first time at a conference. And so doing that early, just working together and seeing if it fit was so important. And I think in this space now that I still have a firm, which is much more dialed back these days, but seeing the space, you could see if you don't have that fit, there's a lot of, this is a journey, right? And if you don't have that fit.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I want to talk about the potential, the competition that's out there for Fidoo that also kind of went away. When that is what Spellbook, formerly known as Rally, was when I was doing the research, because really I'm not a user of Fidoo yet, emphasis on yet, right? Because when I got started, Fidoo is just getting started. And so I'm sort of into my systems I'm using, their switching costs, and I am currently strategizing ways to even offload that. And I'm looking at partner of Fidoo, Confido Legal, as a way to maybe I'm just going to start powering subscriptions through there and divorce my current portal system with my clients for that to ease the switching costs to eventually, be able to change platforms a little more easily. But when I'm always looking for the next best tool.
Right.
And you've been there, playing around, and even if it's not even outside of the business model Legaltech that you guys provide, but the next best AI tool. So we're here at Tech Show. I think this is Tech Show brought to you by AI and Gen AI this year.
That's what it looks like.
So I came across, Rally as well in my research, and I saw that they offered, hey, they at least they advertised, we promote, or they were advertising, we help law firms do subscription. And I had Daniel on the show for Spellbook, And they kind of said like, people weren't really biting at that. They had a few users of that software. They pivoted to this AI thing, and now they've completely rebranded as Spellbook, and they're all in on Gen AI.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not even really competing with you anymore. So now like you're the last ones in this space, this very, very early space. So I wonder like, what's that like to see a potential competitor leave the space, and what are you doing now in light of that?
So what are your thoughts? I'm excited for them. So
Yeah.
my first
Yeah.
thoughts are I'm excited for them, right?
Yeah.
Like I think you have to kind of follow and listen and learn and ideate, and those learnings take you in different directions. And for them, that's the direction it took them. And so super excited to see like where it's going, how the like success of their pivot has been. For me, I don't know. Even back then, I thought we had some synergies, but there were still differences in how we showed up and our thoughts about it. And I think for us, we look at it as well, we know the opportunity that exists in the market. We know what subscription can do for a law firm. We know what even a step before subscriptions, flat fees can do for a law firm. And I think what allows for us to be here today is that there's an underlying framework, right, that it's built upon. And I think that helps, a lot, right? Like this is lived and breathed and did it for almost 15 years at this point. And like, it's not coming out of nowhere. It's also built off of like under foundational basic principles of business, and that we've seen other industries and adjacent industries do. So I think when I look at what they did, it's like, it just wasn't the right fit for what they needed to do.
Yeah.
Right. And that and now there's just a space that opened for them to show legal, hey, AI is an important piece. And for us, AI is a good, important piece of our story too, in that we believe AI is probably the most, outside of COVID, right? The thing that is going to next force this industry to have a big think about how you think about, how you show up. And the hourly model is destroyed with Gen AI. Like you can raise your rate, but at some point, nobody's going to say $5,000 an hour makes sense, right? Like this sounds ridiculous. So you need to change the way you think about it. So my long answer is congrats. Super excited for them. I think it's amazing. I think Raleigh was a great platform before, but it maybe wasn't the right platform for those founders, right? And so now they've taken it. And for us, we see this as a total shift in the industry and how we show up. And we believe AI is an important part of that. And so, hey, let's talk. You never know how we can come together. And what once people saw as competitors are now like coordinated, collaborative platforms that can still move forward that same mission of changing this industry for good.
And there's so much market opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like sure,
it's not a zero-sum game.
No.
Yeah. You're competitors, but like every lawyer should be using the subscription model.
Quite frankly, I feel like we want competitors to come. That sounds crazy, right?
No, it's totally true.
The reality is, if we believe that this is a business model change, this is a fundamental shift that going back to the question of like getting into this. When I was coaching, I really believed that this was something to change the way we showed up. And before, when I wasn't and I was doing it, people would tell me it didn't work. At first, I'd be like, oh my God, how many times did they tell me it doesn't work when I know I'm doing it and it works? So then I would shut up and not talk about it. Then when you're coaching, you started giving people the opportunity. And now you have this platform. I can't do the level of coaching to change an industry, right? Like, what am I going to do? Like 20,000 seat rooms to do it? So I feel like the tech opportunity is there, and we need more tech platforms to continue down this path too, to really shift. Like if we only had one payment processor in legal, what the hell? If we only had one, practice management platform, it would be tough to get innovation. And so, a lot of words to say. We're excited when even more platforms come into the space to show that subscriptions are the future of legal services.
Very much a rising tides lift all boats. That's the saying. Situation where, the more people talking about it, one tool isn't going to fit every single business out there. You need that kind of collective push in an industry. Some of the time, I've known the Spellbook Raleigh founders for quite a while. I'm so happy for them. This success is great, and it's been a ton of hard work. I've kind of followed their journey. So, competition is good. Different points of view on the same problem is.
Let's talk about the features of Fidoo.
Sure.
And then, Blaine will hear from you. Well, we'll hear from both of you, but in particular from the product side and like the development side, like how do you pick what to develop next too? I want to hear about. So like, like what sort of the current version, what features are available, and then like what's on the product roadmap, and how do you even choose what's next?
It's a good question. I think choosing what's next is always a combination of feedback and kind of vision goals of kind of where, where we see needs shifting, where we see the industry shifting, being ahead of the curve, but also grounded in, what all of our customers need today and what their clients need today. And how do we make them more successful? How do we help them switch faster? How do we help them move away from hourly? All of the different permutations that goes into it. Yeah. Fidoo is based on a lot of building block mentality. So how can we help you kind of build a knowledge base that influences how your client project management works? There's a lot of kind of intertwined things there. When I think of a product roadmap, I think of how can we further our goals of helping firms have a platform for their clients, the client project management, and provide a great experience through Fidoo, but also keep their legal teams in the tools that they use day to day. And how can we bridge some of those gaps? So it's a lot of different kind of permutations of those core concepts that goes together to plan and build that roadmap.
I think there's huge potential with like the knowledge base and Gen AI, right? And I know that was one of your early feature sets, was like having this knowledge base with Fidoo to have that set up. I just was talking to Dennis Kennedy, but we were talking about, because they have him and Tom Mile have a second brain project where they're always looking for this next best way to like tap into these extra resources for themselves. And so we were talking about the value of that also for the subscription lawyer, to use as like an additional subscription benefit of like, you might not just get access to this knowledge base, but access to this Gen AI tool that has ingested all of the knowledge base. And now you could query it as though you're talking to a person. I think I want to disclose that this is a Gen AI chatbot, right? And also tell the client, this is a first step so that we can talk later. But then if they can't talk to you, if they need a question answered right away, instead of just going to the free ChatGPT, they're a subscriber. This is a subscriber benefit now. It's like knowledge base times 1,000,000. So are you looking as that on the product roadmap at all? I don't know if you're
Without giving all the things
really
away.
Comment on future roadmap.
Right.
Okay. That's all. It's enough. That's enough. Anyway.
Sure. But I think I will say Gen AI, of course, is an important part of how we think about delivering continuous value without working continuous hours.
Right. And it's one of these things where I think that the business model Legaltech platform, I mean, that's still the primary thing, even if you were to incorporate Gen AI somehow, right? Because like it's one of these things where it's like, our company's in the cloud. We don't really hear that anymore.
Right.
So like Gen AI will just be one of these things
absolutely.
in the future.
Yeah.
Becomes an expected part of the process.
Right. It's like, I use a computer.
Right.
Like,
I agree.
Absolutely.
Agree.
Yeah.
So then let's get more into the feature set now. So knowledge base is one thing. If I sign up as a law firm or independent solo attorney user of Fidoo, like what's that like? Like, what do I see? What do I get access to? What do I have for my clients?
Sure. I buried the lead a little bit there, talking about knowledge base and some of those building block elements. A lot of what you get with Fidoo is those elements that kind of bubble up to how can they be reused? How can we build great processes in your business to kind of combine this concept of one-to-many legal services and productize and how can we streamline on a one-to-many aspect, but also keep those really important parts of professional services and your expertise, and how can we really marry those? One of the ways that shows up is client project management, having one process list that your team and your clients work towards and work through, and bring automation into those mix. We have a part of our platform called Service Builder, where we help walk through how can we kind of package and pitch and price your new subscription or your flat fee. And part of that is an engagement process to bring clients in a really structured way that fits your business.
You said a key thing there. I know they say never interrupt your guest speaking,
Go for it.
but the pricing thing, because at least I seem to, whenever I'm talking at an event or something, like this seems to be the most difficult thing for lawyers. It's like, okay, yes, I get it. I hate billing time, but how do I price it? So you're saying that part of this onboarding process or part of developing your your subscription practice on Fidoo is like you have features or building blocks that help you price these services? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so I'll say it's not quite like we help you quite price it, but we help you put it in context to what you're doing. I think a lot of the gap, the one thing I probably, if you take away anything from what I say in this, is the price is not your issue. It's how you deliver it, right? It is what's inside of it, right? Every price and subscription actually works. And how do we know that? Look in the market, right? Look out in the market, like take legal out of it. There's a way to deliver at scale, $1, a $2. I will tell you multi-million-dollar businesses that have a $7 subscription, right? And so the question is what's inside of it. And so we really want to frame it in the context of how the pricing comes up. But yeah, I mean, a lot of what we do too in platform when they come in is to provide that support. So when you become a customer of ours, it's not like we like let you go to the, and just go. We have onboarding, we have office hours, we support you, and we work together with our customers to support them along this transition, right? The right Fidoo customer is someone who is ready to say, hey, I know that running a process-driven law firm will allow for me to scale, allow for me to get space back to make better decisions, allow for me to open up new revenue opportunities, and I just need the platform to deliver it. And I think going back to your other thing too about what does a firm get when they come in, it's that second brain. So I'm a lover of the idea of the second brain and building a second brain. So if anybody wants a resource, Tiago Korte, he has a book, Building a Second Brain, or Para. It's a concept that I've used for many years, and it does, it plays into how we think through. But I think that idea of like, hey, I'm a firm, I have all this knowledge. How do we make them these building blocks, repeatable resources to use over and over again, and then to deliver a curated, customized experience to our clients that isn't hard to deliver. It's a click of a button to deliver. It is the client started it, right? And so that's what you come in and you say, I have all this knowledge. Let me drop my knowledge in here. Great. Now that I have all this knowledge, now let me connect that knowledge into a process that gets a client to the next step in a matter or issue that they're doing. And then it's like, okay, I have those things. Now let me build it up to a larger piece, which is my service, so that a client can click a button on my website and then go from not being a client to being a paid, signed engagement, approved, and then coming into their experience will they communicate with us ongoing. And then they can access these things. They can leverage AI, and they can leverage our forms. They can leverage our documents. They can leverage our messaging. They can leverage getting moving work forward and getting access to their attorney without the attorney and the legal team feeling like I need to be there every moment of the day.
So you talked about messaging. So there's like client portal features right within Fidoo.
Yeah. Client Portal Plus is how if you want the simplest way to think about us, we are Client Portal Plus. We are beyond what you think of a client portal today, but we definitely replace your client portal today. And we bring a ton more back of the house, 10 more behind the scenes, automations, project management, messaging to them.
So secure document sharing.
Yep.
Secure messaging back and forth, what you just said, right? So those are big features. What about like being able to like schedule calls? So like I'm like in my, cobbled together with duct tape client portal, multiple solutions. Like I have a Calendly link embed, in mine. Like am I able to do something like that if I really like using Calendly?
Yep. Okay. We have a direct integration with Calendly to help bring those links in quicker. They can be standalone that clients can see the list of and pick which one fits best, or it can be part of that client project management feature so that at the right stage of your process, after they've filled out some forms, watched some videos, you've maybe done some other work comes back, client reviews it, books a call to move on,
right?
Move to the next station.
Right. I mean, like
embedded in your overall process.
Okay, great. Calendly or one of their competitors are one of these tools that even if you're billing time, like it saves so much non-billable time for your staff that you should be already using this tool, right? Which makes me think, are you letting non-flat fee and subscription attorneys on the platform if they still want to use it?
Oh, I mean, like, we're not going to stop you, but I'm going to tell you we're not going to build features for you.
That's right.
Right? So like to be like in the most straightforward, I think fun. I mean, in tech show, you get to have these fun conversations. And one of the fun conversations we were having was like, who's the right person, like team to come in. And like, if you are like ingrained in hourly, there are things that you're going to want that don't make sense from a product roadmap and from a business model that we're just not going to build. So if you are hourly and you want process and automation, systemization, more power to you. If you want us to track that against an hour, probably not.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if we have any listeners who are subscription curious, which is like a nice thing I like to say. Well, you could do the demo. Are you guys, I don't know, at the time that this goes live, will there still be like a free trial, something probably? When I went solo, I pivoted from mostly litigation to a transactional only practice. I did not have a database of documents to automate. That's why a business and employment legal document database and automation tool like 650 is super useful. I can rely on the quality of the documents in 650's database since they're putting excellent legal minds to work curating and updating their documents and automations over time. When you're not billing by the hour, outsourcing and efficiency matters, and 650 can help you scale your practice to get high-quality documents drafted in less time. Use the code LAWSUBSCRIBED at 650.com and when being onboarded to get 10% off. If you're not a business and employment attorney or you have your own documents that you'd prefer to use, then my next sponsor, Gavel, is the automation tool for you. Gavel allows you to build shareable, client-facing workflow and document automations. In other words, Gavel helps you create a legal practice where attorneys can monetize the value they bring clients in productized form and scale via subscriptions and flat fees. Use the code LAWSUBSCRIBED at gavel.io to get 10% off an annual subscription. There's no one right way to automate and scale your practice, but with one or both of my sponsors, 650 and Gavel, you can take your subscription law firm to the next level. Links to both in the show notes. Now back to the show. No? Okay.
They have a demo that they can always go to. The demo is always available. We do a lot of we'll be doing a subscription week that they can come to and kickstart that. But I think if you are iterating, iterate. Enjoy the iteration. Be a part of that. Enjoy that process. There is so much enjoyment. But we want you to take action, right? Because we know the power of the model. And if you stay in iteration, you're not going to see the value of recurring revenue. You're not going to see the value of having a $10 a month subscription with a $1,000 project added on top of it and how that will take your revenue fast track to a really good experience. And that's just not me saying it. Those are things that happen when you model it out. So while we love iteration and we can talk about it and I will meet you at conferences and we can have conversations, we would say come to demo when you're iterating and then sign up for Fadoo when you're ready to.
Okay. Because I feel like if a law firm really wanted to play with this tool, they could still do that and then have their billing time software on the side as they're transitioning over into a kind of a thing. Or
sure. You would have I think there's always transition periods. Right. And so if you're in a transition period, come on. Again, we don't want to stop people. No. I think it's more like we want it to feel like a good fit for you too. Like it feels like the return on your investment of time, energy, your resources gets back what you were hoping for. And that does require you to say, okay, I want to make this shift. And then we have the support behind the scenes to help you. We're there. We do tons of support as a customer, whether that's included as a part of the subscription or if there's upgrades that people like.
So before I forget, I also don't want to talk too much about this because this is what we're about to be engrossed with at Tech Show, is something you said earlier, Kim, which was how Gen AI is the most significant thing that has occurred that incentivizes to stop billing your time. So this is one of the talks that I'm giving at Tech Show with Stephanie Everett of Lawyerist, right? So this episode will go live after Tech Show. And so, and that recording won't be available until right before next year's Tech Show. So you should have come to Tech Show. Sorry. but I'm 100% there with you on that. I think this is the most significant thing. Now, lawyers, and it's not $5,000 an hour, by the way, it's $25,000 an hour.
I was just trying to be basic.
Oh yeah, I know. But I've heard lawyers say no one's going to want to pay thousands of dollars an hour. But it's if you actually do the math, to make 0.2 that you used to bill $500 an hour to make $5,000 on, you have to, charge $25,000 an hour. It's unbelievable, right? So there's no better reason why now you shouldn't just be finding the better solution. It was always more profitable to not bill your time. Right. Now it's just more obvious, right? I've always thought, and I am not a tech person either. I'm not a developer person, but I'm very product minded as well. And so I've always thought it would be really interesting from an onboarding perspective and the way you're talking about building blocks, that if I could have an onboarding experience like this, where it's like a character builder in an RPG, like a video game. But seriously, right? Like if I could build, and I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3 because I have a 3-year-old and I am a solopreneur twice over, but I really want to play Baldur's Gate 3. And so at least at the time of publication of this episode, that'll be in the mind share of everybody. You could have, they have characters, pre-built characters that you could come in, and if you want to be a mage, you could be a mage. If you want to be a warrior, you could be a warrior, or you could create a custom character. So I've thought about, for if you already have building blocks, why not be like, this is your mage setup. And so I could just go into mage setup instead of just having to come in and do a custom one, which all the platforms do custom ones, right? Like I want to pick my character class for the type of subscription lawyer I want to be. Are you doing anything like that? And can you?
Well, these are all fun questions.
Yeah.
I will say, stay tuned. I will say, though, I think it's the right way to think about how we need to reframe how we approach service delivery. And so what does that then mean when you're building out your business? So, well, I want it to be exactly my exact way. And yes, I want your way to show through. Yes, I want it to be an experience that you've designed. But then how do you have a place where you can learn from others? Like the precedent side of us would make sense that people would step into this more. But I think there is something else there that also exists. I don't know, maybe it's a little ego, maybe it's a little like just the love of tinkering, perfectionism that makes people sometimes want to start from scratch because it's like their thing. But I do think this idea of having a place to start where you can pick a bit of like choose your own adventure. Like I think of it as like a choose your own adventure. And like, yeah, this is the adventure. This is generally the adventure I like. And let me try this adventure and I can tweak it a bit, but I don't have to go from 0. I can start at 25. I can start at 50. And then what that end 90% looks like that I'm going to still improve is based off of what I do, but I didn't have to spend months, hours, days. I can get going rather quickly with a reasonable client ready version of something. This is what I think.
I think our role and where we're best positioned is to help showcase what works well and to help people transition and get up and running faster. So I think you'll see us do some work towards those goals, but I think we're in a really great position to help, again, showcase what really works. So I think it's really just combinations of that.
So what I also heard you say is you could respect your character.
I love how it's going. Yes.
Just to maintain the video game analogy. Anyway,
Yes.
So I like my thought process on that is like, there's different ways to tackle the subscription model. For example, and I'm curious to know what you've seen for the users of Fidu, even for flat fee attorneys, just any alternative fee arrangement. And that is, I could serve institutional clients that are billing time and hate it, or I could serve blue ocean, latent legal market clients who they've never paid for legal services because they either couldn't afford them or they weren't sure if they could afford them. So like, even just like picking one of those, I would recommend a totally different business model, use of the subscription model for one of those two options, just as a starting point, right? Even just like the recommended pricing range is totally different. And you could charge a premium and make more than what you were making on the billable hour for the institutional clients, but not have to bill by the hour anymore, for one example, right? So that could be super profitable, but you're competing with those other lawyers trying to serve those clients. For the latent legal market, I think there's maybe more opportunity there for pricing creativity because they've never paid for legal services before. So you're fighting an education gap, but you're not fighting an uphill battle of, they have all these sunk costs. And so this is how we get paid by our attorneys. So even just like one of those two options, and then like giving people the choice of, I know, Kim, you came to the Chicago Bar Association panel we had, and you had a different opinion on this, which is good. It's a very valid opinion. But like if somebody wanted to do good, better, best pricing, like a 3-tiered structure, and they're committed to that kind of a philosophy, like they could come in, they could say, latent legal market, good, better, best pricing. And like you already throw together these building blocks for them, like to like get them to that 50% mark, right? Like if it's on the product roadmap, this is going to be, I can hold on to this for a little longer if you want me to. This isn't gotcha journalism, cause like if I'm also asking for myself for when I eventually switch over, because I feel like that would make it a heck of a lot easier for me to come in and just be like, warrior class with, helping the little folk, and then, go off, and it's like already kind of at where I need it to be without having to do too much customization, which I do love to do.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I think there's maybe a third way to even look at that is what's an existing client profile and where are the gaps in what you're helping them with. Like maybe maybe it's only profitable for you to come in at a certain point in time in their journey. But with shift in business model and technology, maybe you can come in earlier and help them in one-to-many kind of approach where you're providing a knowledge base and some process around their problems, and it's lower cost, and it maybe is some of that blue ocean, but it feeds into your existing pipeline, your existing expertise, and the processes that you already have today, and you can kind of build more for that one client profile, and then you're not creating an entirely new marketing plan. You're expanding what you're already. We see a lot of that where we're helping kind of bridge more of that process and that overall need of the customer, instead of saying, well, we need to find an entirely new customer. We can help, unlock 40% more leads into your firm because you're helping them at a different stage where you previously were only getting them later on in that journey.
And I can think of thinking of a couple of firms that are on it now where they support people before they have like a matter that happens, so that they leverage the platform to get earlier data and information and collection that organizes it better, that puts it in a streamlined way for the client that they're serving. They feel the release and the less stress of having to share this information or how to record it so the attorney understands it. The attorney sees it and can interject to help them get better information. And then when it's time to maybe start what at that, and previously the attorney might have done, start a matter and maybe that starts a lawsuit. Now they're starting at a better place. Their client is more educated. The client has invested and has built that relationship. And the amount of input that lawyer needed to do to collect it is much lower. It's much more streamlined. And for them, I'm just thinking like this particular customer is like, it saved me, something like 90% of their time was now got back so that they can better serve their clients. They can see what the issues are at scale. I can process it out. The clients are less stressed. They know how to receive. So I think when we are trying to support better ways of approaching issues, and if you want it, my good, better, best pricing, it wasn't so much to say like, I don't think it works when we were having that conversation. It's much more of what's capacity for solo small today. And if your capacity is limited, good, better, best pricing sometimes leads you to have a hard time marketing it all. So I do think we provide this space where you can find real time right now in what you have opportunities to bring in the model, right? And then as you were saying, transition, and those opportunities could be like maybe a little tweak, a standard template that we've seen works across multiple. And I would say I do think without having to be ultra customized, there are models that work for most firms today that don't require you to get into the nuance, but that can bring this into your firm. The question is, are you committed to the model to then iterate and grow and start making some other adjustments once you see it happening to help?
I'm thinking of an attorney I had on my podcast, Matthew Burgess. He's an Australian attorney, and they've dabbled with all sorts of versions of subscription model, but the only one they're really offering right now is an annual fee there's an estate planning firm, for an annual check-in on your estate plan to see like, is everything okay? And I think their lowest price they charge for that, they might have like 2 or 3, prices for that is like $100 or like $99. And it's just to check in. And even if like, okay, so like no changes, like it's good, everything's good to go, that might be worth $100 for somebody, right? So there's value there, but that's like their only benefit. And of course their opportunity is, well, if there are changes, now they charge for that, right? My recommendation to him during the interview was, well, can't you incentivize more people sign up for that by like offering a 10% discount on your fees, on the other fees, like if they're subscribed to that or something like that. And he was interested in that. So like, is that a type of thing that you could do through Fidoo?
Yeah, of course. The variations of what you can offer in platform are there for you, right? Because of the building block mentality of how it's set up, that you can say, great, you have access to these pieces at the right time. In Fidoo, what does that look like? You set up a project, The project would go over the course of potentially 12 months. You would set it up because we have timing and delays and all that. It could send information. In fact, we could probably add, without him even adding anything to it, value to that exact same subscription. And maybe, technically, maybe he doesn't want to get the 10%. He now added value by systematizing that delivery. That's what we would do. So like what Blaine was saying before, we could take what he has right now, take that same subscription, put it in platform, deliver it, and the way it's delivered gives value. The way you provide information can give value, and that maybe you can then offer the discount. But then, when you get there, they can say, great, I want to start this particular project, and they can start the process of kickstarting a new project because after their meeting, it seemed like they need to do an adjustment to their well or to their trust or whatever.
You can also start reframing that kind of update conversation to, we put all of your info, or we bring your information into the platform, and when things change, there's a form to fill out to start this process, or to just record keeping that can start to inform what that update looks like. When you're updating this, you get brought into a process that reviews whether that was a substantial update that you need to go to the higher end update or the simple update. There's a lot that you can do just by kind of reframing what that client experience looks like. If we think of it from being more point in time, when the new house is purchased, let's get the records in place instead of waiting that whole year for the check-in to come. We start to think of it, as that need occurs instead of delaying that.
Something I've learned now, I'm almost 2 years, I'm a month away from 2 years into having my own subscription law firm.
Congrats.
Thank you. It feels like a heck of a lot longer. And the podcast started years before. So it's been a journey, but something I've learned, and this may just be a problem with my current client portal solution, in that it doesn't look very pretty. And the user interface is so. It functions incredibly well, and it does exactly what I need it to do. It just doesn't look very good. And the user experience is not great. It's okay. It's sufficient. But more than, like around half my clients, I don't even use the client portal. It just mostly is there for the onboarding, that makes it really easy to onboard the clients and powers the subscriptions integrated with Stripe. And that works incredibly well. It's easy. That's the most important thing. And as much as I try to corral my clients to the client portal, they still want to email me. They still want to text me. They still want to call me without booking a call. And if they're paying me enough of a high enough subscription, I'm definitely going to pick up that call. So it's one of those things where, I could be better about pushing them to the portal, but I'm still only 2 years into this kind of a thing. I don't know what your experience has been with hearing from the lawyers using your platform, but is this a pain point for other attorneys too, that are trying to get their clients to use the client portal because it's going to make everything more efficient?
That's a problem I think every changing solution goes through. Change management is a thing. I think one of the best things that a shift in business model gives you is the permission to rethink how you approach these issues and say, if we're going to offer this in a new way, we're going to put some boundaries in place to make this make sense for both of us. One of which is we communicate through this portal. One of which is you send files and fill out forms as part of this process. But I think the other side of it is, what's the easier process for the client to go through? If you've got something where we've got checklists of what needs to happen, we've got in-context video, in-context articles of what needs to happen, what they need to learn at different stages, it becomes a natural part of how that service is delivered. So a few different angles that you can kind of approach that as. I think the simplest kind of day one thing is, simple. Simple is probably the wrong word for this. Maybe it is the harder thing to do, but I think of it from the point of view that we when we're offering this service, we do it differently, and we do that through through this tool.
Yeah, I think, having done it the boundaries are real, right? I've had a portal for as long as probably Clio has offered a portal for having to do. And that happens, right? But I do think it is being clear on how we communicate and knowing that it is a choice of the client to do that, because there's many other places. And I would say that the shift has happened across so many other areas of people's lives that communicating in a portal isn't isn't so different anymore because you do it with your doctors, you do it with these other
I've got
providers.
Slack, I've got Discord, I've got Signal, I've got
Right.
WhatsApp.
Right. But even if you take it, even if we think because those still might be someone who is into the tech. But like if we take some of that stuff out and we think about the people like your day-to-day lives, there are places where you have to update your profile when you want to change any of the service providers, your cable if you have cable, or your Netflix if you have Netflix. Like you need to go. So the way I always recommend, you don't have to chase it down. We see it, we prioritize it. We only check email a couple of times a day. So if you want us to see that, actually you get more response. And if you show that, you don't just say it, but you show it and you put resources behind it, then that builds that trust with the client to say, actually, I just go in here. And like, I think too, it's like, what are the ways that you shift it? You could say like, well, add this to your phone. Or like, what does that initial process look like to get them to see how to make it as simple as opening up an email, as simple as tapping, if they're onto their phone, tapping the phone, or bookmarking on their browser. You know, like what?
We're starting to wrap up the interview here. We'll start with Kim. We'll end on Blaine for final words, and then we'll ask a couple of fun questions.
Yeah, I would say the journey for me has been really amazing. Just having practice and now being a co-founder to help deliver a solution to allow others to do the same. I think if you're ready to take action, if you're committed to a better model, if you recognize the power of Gen AI, then yeah, come, let's show you. We do demos all the time, but just launch it. If you're not even sure, go pitch it to a potential client and see what they say. And then if they say yes, then get going.
What Kim said, first of all, but also I think embrace the permission that shifting business model gives you. Rethinking things and thinking about that same problem from a 15-degree angle can change, significant amounts of your business. Just embrace it. Dive in. I think now's the best time to switch to better business model. It simply is.
That reminded me something that when I had somebody ask me, I really want to do this, but I don't know how I'm going to get buy-in from my team. And she's an attorney with a small team, I think like 10 people, including her. And it dawned on me for the first time, like a thought experiment to engage in that could help her get buy-in from the team, which is like something you might do on like a company retreat or something. Imagine that, like in this hypothetical, you were told that in 1 week, the whatever licensing body, whether it's your bar association or state Supreme Court, has banned the billable hour, and they're giving you 1 week to figure out a new business model. Go. Right? That's what you remind, like give yourself permission, reminded me of that sort of hypothetical.
Add constraints. Constraints breed creativity.
Lawyers are some of the smartest people I know. I say that a little self-servingly, but I feel like if we didn't have the option to bill our time, we'd figure out better solutions. And I'm so glad Fadoo is making it easy for lawyers to do that. So Kim, you've already answered this question, but don't worry, I have another one for you that you'll get to answer too. But first, Blaine, my audience needs to hear from you. Is a hot dog a sandwich, and why?
Oh, there's a whole chart on this. I think I went into this pretty deep once. I think the best explanation I found was a hot dog is technically a taco because it's 3 sides covered. There's a chart. How many sides are covered? So I'm going with taco.
A hot dog is not a sandwich, but it is a taco. Yeah. Which begs the question: is a taco?
I'm not saying that in Chicago. Now I'm in trouble.
No, that's okay. It's okay. We love the Hispanic and Mexican community here. Big Hispanic population. Is a taco a sandwich then?
No, because it's 3 sides. A sandwich is 2 sides covered.
Okay.
There's a chart.
Got it.
Very
interesting.
Also, this is like a
great question.
This is like an insight into some of our conversations.
Our team meetings get
Yeah. So since we've already heard your answer, Kim, which may have changed over the last, I don't know, it was like almost 3 years ago, I feel like, that we had our interview. Is a calzone a sandwich, and why?
It's on the chart.
Based on this chart that I haven't seen, a calzone is covered on all sides. So I'm going to say a calzone is a pie. No,
pizza pie.
A pizza pie. I don't know.
Can't remember if calzones are its own category.
Is calzone it's a patty? So my Caribbean heritage will say a calzone is closer to a patty because, cocoa bread, like beef patty, curry chicken patty, Jamaican side. From going down this path of there's a chart that I want to now go see and search on one.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what a patty is.
Oh, like a beef patty. Like a Caribbean beef patty, like that's it's
Is
all
there bread
covered
on-
like
is
a
there bread on one side? of
no,
that, or
it's
is that-
covered the crust. It's covered with a soft pastry crust.
So like a puff pastry
Puff-
type thing.
Yeah, but kind of no.
Okay.
But yeah, but a pastry and it's covered and it's closed in with the meat inside or whatever the contents inside. Empanada. Yeah, so like all the same ideas. So I would say like a calzone is in that. Is that what a calzone looks like? Am I making that? Yeah, right. I'm like,
It's
Size
a
difference.
pizza fully enclosed by the crust.
Right,
right.
basically,
And
yeah.
so like it's like a sandwich fully like a crustable. Is a crustable a sandwich? I mean, it's
on the
kind of-
chart.
I would feel like I'm
Is
gonna.
it crustable a PB&J sandwich?
I think it's a crustable, but I think it's like a patty. It's a peanut butter and jelly patty. It's what it is.
This is the second time I've ever asked this question because you're the second person who's been on the show twice, and crustables came up in that answer too.
There you go.
Blaine,
That's good branding for crustable.
what's your answer for is a calzone a sandwich? It's apparently on the chart.
I'm
but
pretty
what is
sure.
it?
Well, it's on the chart for sure, and pretty sure it either defines the category or it is grouped in with pierogies and patties. And
I eat
and
food.
the
I don't
like.
cook it or know food that well, so like, but I'm a foodie because I eat it.
There is a fully enclosed category.
Yeah, and that's what it would be. Those are the patties, the crustables.
Is it a fully enclosed sandwich category, subcategory of sandwich though? That's the
That's a
question.
great
Is it
question.
a
I
sandwich?
don't remember
So
if
no.
these are grouped under the sandwich. I don't think so.
I'm gonna say no. I'm just gonna go hard no,
There was
and
a
I could be wrong, and I could shift later. That's okay.
What, like
there was
like
a
a genealogy chart,
to this.
evolution chart is like, are we related to the whale? There's a common ancestor. It's the sandwich. Is that?
So I would say no, because if you think about this journey, there's the sandwich, there's the hot dog, and then there's the calzone. No.
Cousins?
Yes. Because they have the similar contents, just one is closed in. One's not. They have,
Yeah,
they
I'm
have
giving them
contents
that.
around.
This is why this is the only reason I get people to stick to the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So if my listeners wanted to learn more about Fadoo or follow up with each of you individually, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, we're on social, Fadoo app, so you can find us on social. But yeah, I'm Kim at FadooLegal.com, Blaine at FadooLegal.com. But yeah, I mean, just reach out. We're on social. We talk a bunch of places. We host. We'll see an upcoming subscription week and things like that. So we're there to support people along their journey, whether they're ready for Fadoo or they're a step or two before that. Those are ways. What else? What other ways we can catch us?
At FadooLegal.com. We're at a lot of events this year. Come to conferences. We'll be publishing a list over time. That list will be on FadooLegal.com.
Yeah.
All right, great. Thanks again for coming on the show, Kim, and Blaine. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And that's our show. Thanks again to 650 and Gavel for being sponsors. The best way for others to discover this show is for you to share it with somebody you think would find value from it. Follow me on LinkedIn, since that's where I'm most active on social media, and click the bell towards the top right of my profile to get notified about all of my posts about this podcast and everything else I think is valuable for you to see. To get in touch, message me on LinkedIn or email kurbis@lawsubscribed.com. All links are in the show notes. Until next time, this is Matthew Kurbis with Law Subscribed.